Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2 Unit 3.7 Notes. Today we're going to be talking about solving systems of linear and absolute value, dun dun dun, inequalities. Our learning target today is to be able to solve systems of linear and absolute value inequalities by graphing. So just remember that the solution of a system of inequalities is any point in the shaded area. So before, once again, I don't know how many times that we've done this, but let's take a look at the symbols, okay? This is the is less than symbol. This is telling us that it's open and that we shade below. Is less than or equal to, it is closed and we shade below. Greater than, the symbol is open and we shade, nope, not below Mr. Grice, we shade above. And greater than or equal to, this is, oh my gosh, come on now, closed, and we shade above. Okay? All right, so let's get to it. Solve each system by graphing. Now, I'm only going to look at the first one. Now, the first thing I look at is my symbol, because that symbol tells me if I'm open or closed, and this one we are closed, and it tells me how to shade. It's less than, so I'm going to shade below. The next thing I'm looking at is the negative 2/3. The negative 2/3, one, it's telling me that there's a reflection, so it's going to be going down, and I'm going to be going down 2 over 3. And then the last thing we need is I need the vertex. I take the opposite of the negative 3, and the negative 2 stays the same. Okay, so that's all I need from that, and now I'm going to graph that. Okay, so I start at 3, negative 2, so 3, negative 2, and I go down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. All right, and now I'm going to graph it. Okay, so I'm going to use my straight edge. Oh, don't know what's going on there. There we go. And there we go. Okay, and if you want to write yourself a little note that, hey, I need to shade below. I need to shade below. You can do that. But we're not shading yet, because I still have that other function. Yeah. All right, so looking at this other function, there are no absolute value brackets. Woo! Okay, it's a linear inequality. So I'm going to look at the symbol, just as like we did before. And it's telling me that it's open, and I have to shade below. Now my slope is 8 over 3, which means I'm going up 3 or up 8 to the right 3, and I begin at 0, 2. Okay, so at 0, 2, I'm open. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3. And I think those are the only points that we're going to get. All right, so here we go. I'm doing my dashed line because it's open. And then I'm just going to write little notes saying that I'm going to shade below. Below. Now, just like we did when we were doing two linear inequalities, we're going to number the different sections. Okay? So looking at my red line, I need to be below my red line, so I cannot be in not quadrant, but section 1 or section 2. Those are off. I need to be below the blue line, and is 4 below the blue line? No, it's above the blue line. So the only place that we could graph this that could be a solution is 3. So we just come here, and process of elimination, 3 is our answer. Now, I need to find a sample solution. A sample solution is any point in the shaded area. Any point. I'm going to go for right there. And that is the point 2, -8. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. First thing we do, look at the absolute value symbol. It's open, not the absolute value symbol. We're looking at the inequality. It's open, and we shade below. Okay, this is my absolute value, so there's no negative in front. It's just going up, and I'm going up 1, over 1, because there's no number out in front. And then I take a look at the vertex. It's the opposite, -4, and then -5. Okay, so I'm starting at 4, -5, and at 4, -5, sorry, 4, -5, I am open. I'm going up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, and I'm doing this in both directions. Now, I'm only doing a couple just because otherwise I'd be doing these points for the rest of the graph. I'm just going to make sure that I'm using a straight edge and that you can see that the line is dashed. Okay? And I'm actually going to erase those 2 points just so it's easier to see my dashed line. Okay, now we said below, so I need to make sure that I am below those lines. Okay, so once again, I'm looking at my absolute or my inequality. One of these days I'll get it right. It's open and it's the greater than symbol, so that means it's above. My slope is 1 over 2, and I'm starting at the point 0, -4. Okay, so at 0, -4, I'm open. I go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And that's going to be a dashed line. Okay, so just like before, there's my dashed line. And for this guy I have to shade above. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and label everything. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. Okay, so I need to be below the red line. So I'm just going to do this. If I'm below the red line, I'm in 1 and I'm in 4, because those are the only numbers that are below, so I can get rid of 3 and 2. Now I need to be above the blue line. The only guy that's above the blue line is 1, so I have to get rid of 4, and that leaves my answer right here. All right, so anything that's in this portion of the graph is a solution. So there you go. There's my point. Something easy. That is the point, -5, 0. Okay. Why don't you guys see if you can graph the two, and then we'll do the shading together. Okay? So see if you can graph everything, at least the first one. Okay? I'll be nice. Just graph the first one, and we'll talk about the second one together. So go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, so you can see that there was a reflection, it was closed below, down 1 over 1, and I'm starting at -3, -2. Okay? Now, that second inequality, when it just says g of x equals a number, they're saying that y is less than or equal to -2. All right, so you're drawing a horizontal line at -2, and it's going to be closed and below. Okay, why is it closed and below? Well, it's closed and below because of the inequality symbol. Okay, so at -2, there you are, that's your dot, your point, and I want to draw a horizontal line going through that. Okay, so there we go. There's my horizontal line. And I want to shade everything that is below this line. Okay, so this time we've got section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. Now, our blue line, it can be 2, 3, or 4. The only line that it doesn't work is section number 1. But now, below the red, the only guy that's below the red is 3 because 2 is above and 4 is above. So I can get rid of 4 and I can get rid of 2, and the only thing I'm going to color that I'm shading in is 3. And there we go. All right, so I need a sample solution, any point, and just make it easy. There you go. That's the point, -5, -10. All right, number 4. Look at that inequality symbol. That inequality symbol is telling me that it's closed and above. The 1/3 means I'm going up 1 over 3, and then I take the opposite of 1, which is -1, and the -3 stays the same. Okay, so at -1, -3 is where I start, and I go up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. And I'm doing that in both directions. Okay? Now I'm supposed to shade above this line. So I'm writing above, above, so I don't forget. Okay, why don't you guys see if you can graph that other one? Okay, if you want to try the shading, you can, or just label the sections. All right, pause the video. Good luck. Okay, so it's open and above. My slope was down 3 over 2, and then I'm starting at 0, 1. Okay, so if I want to be above the red line, well, only 1 and 2 work, so that means I have to get rid of 4 and 3. Now, I need to be above the blue line, so I need to get rid of 1. And then that leaves us with 2. Okay, so 2 is our answer. Okay, and now we need to find a sample solution. Okay, find an easy point, and that is the point 5, 5. Okay, now if you're still having trouble in this, you can use your calculator. Okay, now for our first one, I had to shade above, so you can see how the little triangle is going up. That means above, and now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write in 1/3 math number absolute value. I have x plus 1 minus 3. Okay, my next one, once again, I'm above, and this time my slope is -3 over 2. Oh, sorry, I didn't write 3. So -3 over 2 x plus 1. Excuse me. And then as I graph it, you can see there's my inequality. The calculator shades everything. And then there's my linear inequality. And you can see that this, where it overlaps, that's where your answer is. Okay? And if you can see where we shaded is where it overlaps in the calculator. Okay? All right, number 5. Let's see if you can graph both inequalities, and then we'll do the shading together. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, so there is my absolute value inequality. It was closed. I have to shade below. I had to go up 2 over 1, and I started at 3, 1. My bottom, the g of x, was a horizontal inequality, and it was open and above. Okay, so this is the first time that we've seen this where, as I'm looking at these sections, I have 6. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? All right, so let's take a look at the red. I have to be below the red. So 1 is below, 6 is below, 4 is below, and 3 is below. 2 and 5 are actually above the red, so that can be part of my answer. Now I have to be above the blue. To be above the blue, well, that's not 4 and that's not 6. So above the blue would be 1 and it would be 3. Isn't that kind of crazy? Yeah, I like this one. Okay, so once again, sample solution, anything above or that's in the shaded portion, there's my point, and that is the point -9, 9. Okay, last one. You ready? You want to do it together, or can you do it on your own? All right, well, let's just write some things out together, just to help you out. So, the inequality symbol, that is open, and it is below. That negative sign tells me that it's being reflected, so it's going down. And I'm going to go down 2 over 1, and then my vertex is 3, 4. Okay? We can write notes on this other one too. Now, our g of x, that's going to be closed. It's above. And our slope is 2 over 5, which means up 2 to the right 5. And we're starting at 0, -2. Okay? So why don't you guys try and graph those two? If you feel like shading, shade it. But we'll go over it together. Okay? Pause the video. Good luck. Okay, so there you go. Now, this looks kind of weird because there are 5 different sections of this graph. I know what, did anybody put a 2 over here? Now that's still number 1 because there's no lines that are kind of cutting that section off, if that makes sense. Okay, so our first rule is that we have to be below the red. Okay, so the only guys that are below the red are 2 and 4, so I can get rid of 1, 3, and 5. Okay, now I need to be above the blue line, so I need to get rid of 4. So our answer is just in this little triangle right here. Okay, and so once again, remember, find a sample solution. I'm going to go right there on that line, and that is the point 3, 0. Okay, guys, well, that's your homework. That's the lesson. Now, on the other side is your homework. Just make sure you're paying attention to the symbols because sometimes they're equals, sometimes they're absolute values, sometimes there's only 1, sometimes you have to write, okay? So just make sure you pay attention to what it's asking you for, okay? All right, well, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra 2, Unit 3.7 Notes. Thanks for watching.